Ready to go, guys? All right, man. We stepped it up a bit since the last time you were here.
Yeah, I see that.
All right, Newbie Real Estate Podcast, episode number 16.
So I got slapped 2 minutes.
All right. What's up, guys?
What's happening, man?
Welcome
at it
back.
Again.
Yeah.
It's been a few weeks. Back
Yeah.
at it. So, here to curse.
How was Miami?
Beautiful, beautiful. 6 weeks in Miami and had to come back to Jersey hell. I'm like, this sucks.
None of the storms?
I was literally depressed for like a week.
You didn't get affected by any of the storms, any of that stuff?
Actually, the day we left was when the storm was hitting on the West Coast. So, we had about a 3-hour delay. So it wasn't
That's
too
not bad.
Yeah, it's
That's
not bad.
easy
Yeah,
nowadays.
exactly.
Okay.
But they kept us on a plane for 2 hours, and I was like, oh, they had a funny movie, so it flew by.
Well, when you were flying first class, you get all the free drinks.
Yeah, exactly. You know?
What's a funny movie?
It was with Sebastian Maniscalco.
Oh, yeah, he's
Comedian.
hilarious.
He has My Father or something like that. Dude, that fucking movie was hysterical. I was cracking up in the fucking seat. Everyone's looking at me.
He's like, what are you going to do about it?
Yeah.
What else am I going to do? I'm sitting here for 3 hours.
Yeah, exactly. So, we're having a good time. I was like, they didn't even feel like I was stuck on the plane for 3 hours. So it actually worked out. How about you guys?
We've been good.
Right, man.
We've been just doing the show, right?
I think we had a hurricane, right, or something, or the effects of it.
Something like that. I
Without
mean,
as
it
much
hasn't
wind.
been too bad.
Yeah.
Just a lot of rain. But luckily, it's not hasn't caused any flooding,
Yeah.
which is awesome.
Good.
But
Yeah.
let me introduce you guys. So we got Mel back on the show after his
Hiatus.
2-month hiatus, right? And then we have Joe Falla, one of our co-hosts, and then myself, Joey Chan, and of course our special guest today is Salim Patel. Salim is from New World Title and also Passaic councilman. Is that right?
Yeah. Nice.
Former Passaic councilman, yeah. And so Salim, give us a little intro about yourself and kind of like growing up, what kind of inspired you to get into first being like going after being a councilman and then going to title. Like that's 2 different things.
Okay. We got a lot of time, and I don't want to put your audience to sleep, so I'm.
No, that's okay. That's
You got an hour. Keep talking.
yeah.
So no, first of all, Joey, Mel,
Joe.
Okay, Joe Falla. We just met, right? No, it's a pleasure and it's an honor. Thank you for having me here, and hopefully I'm of some benefit to the audience. And by no measure, no means do I consider myself an expert in any aspect of real estate. I think I'm just like everyone else that's here today in our brief conversations, and more than likely just like the audience that's listening, is that it's a journey and we're all learning and we're all constantly trying to improve and improve our craft and get better every single day. And, so this is also for me learning from everyone here, in terms of your respective fields. So again, just thank you for putting this together and having me. A little bit of background. I always say I was born in New York. I was born in Flushing, Queens, and I'm proud to have been born from Flushing, Queens. That's where my father originally settled after Manhattan when he wanted to raise the family. And so
That's the suburbs, huh?
You want to see how much of a New Yorker I am? Do you still live in Queens?
No.
How long have you been in Jersey?
No, my whole life. That's why I was
I was
trying to
going to
qualify.
say, because that's your car outside, right?
It is.
Okay, because I could tell from the wheel wells that are all chopped that you were from New York.
You don't got the bumper on guard on.
I'm into cars, so I saw your car. I'm not going to say what kind of car it is, but I saw the car and I saw the wheels were all chopped up. I'm like, this guy's from New York.
So
Yeah, that his wife drops it a lot.
yeah. so and the reason, like, just, for those of you that are from Queens, it's a special place. And so I used to spend a lot of my summers in Queens. And so I feel like it's a part and parcel of who I am and what made me today. But my upbringing, school, everything was from Passaic, New Jersey. I'm a Passaic native. Grew up in Passaic.
Me too.
I'm from Queens. I'm from Queens
nice,
as well.
nice. So you're where were you born?
Well, I was born in China.
Okay.
Right, and I came to the U.S. when I was
container.
about 6. Yeah, stowaway. But I grew up in Passaic. Basically, I landed in Passaic when I was about 6, 7.
Okay.
So kind of grew up there. Went to Passaic High School. Went to Clifton High School for a year. Hated it. Came back to, demanded my parents move back to Passaic. They're like, well, it's not a good neighborhood, son. I was like, I don't care. All my friends are here. So came back to Passaic and then basically finally moved out to go to college.
Got it.
Yeah.
Where'd you end up going to college?
I went to Seton Hall.
Seton Hall.
Yeah.
Got it.
Went to Seton
What
Hall.
year were you there?
I was there from 98 till 2007.
Shut the fuck up. I was there in 99.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, that's funny.
Oh.
Fucking cross
We'll
paths.
talk about that
I was,
later.
I was probably sleeping on the bench outside. So then I woke up like, fuck, I missed class. Damn it.
I wasn't the best student either. That's why for my undergrad, I was there for like 8 years. So.
Jesus Christ.
So I'm not the model like Asian, student.
Okay. You're like, you weren't good at math and science.
I mean, I wasn't terrible. It's just that I didn't apply myself. I didn't study at all. I was just trying to make money. That's it.
Yeah.
Because
Well, you're
my
first
parents.
generation, right? Oh,
Yeah.
you were born here, or there.
Yeah, I was born
So how
there.
was that hard? That was hard for, I guess, your parents didn't know English. Like my parents didn't know English.
Yeah.
So they're like, school failed us because our parents couldn't help us, so we had to help ourselves.
Exactly.
So
My mom spoke English. I still didn't speak. I still didn't do well in school.
my mom was a teacher, so don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Sorry.
But I'm a product of the Passaic school system, so we actually overlapped because I graduated in '96, and so went through the whole school system, and I got to say it's interesting growing up. I think in Passaic, which is obviously an urban inner city sort of experience, school experience, and I remember my senior year. And the reason I'm bringing this up is it kind of motivated me later on in life. So I got suspended in my senior year. I had in-school suspension.
Oh, wow.
And the reason I got suspended is I had an interview for a scholarship interview, and it was after school. And I think I was late for homeroom, and so I got detention. It's automatic detention.
Did you go to Catholic school?
And I remember she was just a very, very strict homeroom teacher, Miss Connors, right? And she just, I don't know what, she was just always angry. And I'll say it publicly just because I think we should talk about our public school system, right? We shouldn't. And she was just overly strict and said automatic detention, and which is fine. And I told her, I was like, hey, I got a scholarship interview. She's like, you don't come, I'm going to write you up. So I went for my scholarship interview. I went.
Of course.
Hell yeah.
I skipped detention, so that's an automatic, I don't know, like 3 days or 5 day suspension. How does that make any sense?
Yeah.
Right?
Trying to better myself and you're holding me back, bitch.
Exactly. I think things should be contextualized, right? It shouldn't be just like hard and fast rules, so on and so forth. So I remember my mom came with me because I was like, this is ridiculous. We met with the principal, and it was, I remember when we met with the principal, and he was still in the school district when later on, when I got elected to the Board of Education, he was still there, right?
Oh, that's great.
Part of the district.
You're fired, bitch.
No, I didn't do that.
Look at me now.
He was a great educator. I think he was a great educator. But, my mom came with me and it's like, why is he being suspended just because he missed the detention, blah, blah, blah. Nope, in-school suspension. How does that make any sense, right? When we're talking about educating our youth, educating the future, maybe we should take into account, there's exceptions, right? It's not just like,
course,
you're
exactly.
like, hey, maybe he could do the detention tomorrow because he was, and I ended up getting that scholarship. It was like a $1,500.
Yeah, so we're doing well if he has some sort of scholarship.
Yeah, and so, and the reason I kind of just bring this up is later on, I went to Rutgers, graduated, I had a finance, and he asked me my career. My background is actually 15 years in corporate finance.
Okay, cool.
I did financial planning analysis, so I used to just do basically financial street reporting for publicly traded companies like Children's Place, which you might have known if you have kids, and then Arrow Pastel.
Yeah.
And I did a brief stint for a law firm, a major law firm with like 1,000.
You did data gathering for them? Is that what it is?
Well, not only data gathering, but actually analytic reporting, financial reporting. And so, for example, if you ever listen to those financial calls for Wall Street, when they do their earnings calls, like we would produce the numbers and the reports for that company. So like Pastel, so we would provide those metrics, but also internal reporting. So financial reporting, like I'm an Excel. I was an Excel guru. I don't look at spreadsheets anymore, but that's all we used to do, right?
It's like riding a bike; you never forget.
Exactly. It's somewhat. But now with technology, AI, like all of that stuff is probably outdated now. But I worked in finance for a long time, and I still lived in Passaic. I didn't move out of Passaic. So I graduated, and I was one of the few, I think, everyone, you have brain drain when you talk about inner city communities. People that go out there and get nice jobs or, make it, they don't stay in Passaic. They usually move to a nicer neighborhood, for lack of a better term. And I stayed. And I remember one time, the mayor, I walk into my living room, and the mayor is sitting there speaking to my father, right? It's like, hey, Dad. He's like, oh, it's the mayor. Say hello. Whatever. And I just walk past him. I wasn't interested, right? I was like, whatever. You're all crooks, right?
I didn't say you did.
And the reason I said that is because the mayor, not that mayor, but the mayor that, he replaced the current mayor because he went to jail for corruption.
I had a couple of questions about that.
So he took a bribe, and the current mayor, he's there, and he's like, hey, let's have a conversation. We spoke just a little bit, maybe 10 minutes. And he was from the Board of Education. He graduated, he went from Board of Education, and he actually ran for mayor and became mayor. So, we're talking about how the school system stinks and this and that. And, he's just like, listen, if you live here, you care enough about the city, it seems like you're passionate, you went through the school district, why don't you get involved, right? And I was like, okay.
He recruited you.
Let's talk. So we continued the conversation. I started meeting other city leaders, and it seemed like the vision was all in the same. Like, hey, let's work towards bettering the city. Let's work towards bettering the city. And so I threw my name in the ring, and I ran for Board of Education, and I ended up winning. And when I got on, the graduation rates for Passaic High School at that time, and this is now we're talking about 14, 15 years ago, it was 52%. So literally 52% of the kids were graduating for a number of reasons, right? A lot of kids, the best kids would go to the county school, so on and so forth. And, part of it is just the overall vision and philosophy of urban school districts. And kind of, I want to contextualize this, right? Is just like, I fundamentally believe if we're talking about community development and bettering the communities that we live in, right, and wanting the best not only for our individual municipality but our neighboring municipalities, because everything gets impacted, right? There's a ripple effect. And the only way we impact that is by really addressing root cause, which is education, right? How much of our tax dollar goes towards education, right? And if education is broken, there really is no future. And so, I think from even a municipal perspective, and when I would speak to some of our city leaders, right, like you're talking about our assembly people, our state senators, our city council, the mayors, if there's no cohesive vision, it's really difficult for wholesale change, right? And so what we were able to do is just get everyone on board with the vision that, hey, let's remove the nepotism, let's remove the cronyism, let's, the backroom deals, and let's focus in. And everyone says it's about the kids.
It's never about the kids. It's about the money.
Never about
exactly.
It's about the money.
And it is true. But some of it is like, you have to be able to walk the walk. You can't just talk the talk. And I think one of the things that we were successfully able to do is actually get everyone to buy into the vision. We were able to pass a nepotism policy. I remember one of the first.
Awesome. I think that should be statewide.
Yeah. And it's ridiculous that it's done on a municipal level, but when we passed the nepotism policy, I remember the previous meeting, one of the board members who passed away, so I'm not going to mention it, but he got up in a public meeting and said, I love this city. I love this school district. I love the kids. I'm invested in it. I have 14 family members that are employed by this school district. And he said it with pride. And I was like, that's not something to be proud of. You got instead of doing your duty to make decisions for the betterment of our kids, you were busy getting people jobs.
Exactly.
And I get it. It's a part and parcel, right? You have that patronage politics that happens in New Jersey, throughout New Jersey, right? It's famous for that. But at the end of the day, you have a primary responsibility to the kids, right? And I feel that what we were able to do is really hold the line in terms of making the right decisions, not making politically expedient. I made decisions that were completely opposite of political expediency.
And you're still alive?
And
JFK?
And was able to get my fellow board members to buy in and city leaders to buy in. And we were able to make that wholesale change. When I stepped off the Board of Education, that graduation rate was now 83%, right?
Wow.
And it was just, and what it led to is that people had faith investing in Passaic. They had faith in investing in downtown Passaic. We were able to really change what people thought about Passaic and say, hey, Passaic is potentially a place where I could invest my money for developers and raise my children for people that were like, hey, you know, on the border. Eventually, you know, I got onto the city council, and being on the city council, I was able to also see it from a different political lens, but also community development, talking about what tax abatements, community development programs are out there to now look at it not just from looking at it at a municipal level, right? Meaning, a school district level, but like, okay, how do you really make wholesale change from policy, right? And from a municipal perspective. And so I think like that's something that we started to really hone in on, say, hey, Passaic is a developer friendly, Passaic is a place where people can feel comfortable investing. Whereas certain municipalities are like, oh, it's a nightmare dealing with City Hall. It's a nightmare dealing with XYZ.
Of course.
And obviously, was the city perfect? Absolutely not. It's far from perfect. But were we a nightmare to deal with? Absolutely not.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I was a school teacher in Jersey City. I was in a charter school. And I remember it's ridiculous. You know, the board members, all their friends got the contracts that were hundreds of $1,000s more than the bids. And they never looked out for the kids. And you bust your behind, you care about the kids, and they come along with like, pass them along, no child left behind. I'm like, well, the law really doesn't have to do with no child left behind that way. It's a matter of implementing, the programs so the kids don't get left behind. Nothing was ever implemented. It was a mess. I was like 5 years of bureaucratic bullshit. And I was like, I'm out of here.
It's all about accountability at the end of the day.
Yeah, exactly. That's what it boils down to, And that's awesome that
and term limits.
52% to 80. That's amazing. That's awesome job, man. That's kudos to you, man. That's fantastic. They need to implement that throughout the state, So you run for governor, you got my backing.
But it's right. It's about accountability, and a lot of times it's, hey, I'm buddy with the principal if it's a teacher, or the principal's buddy with the superintendent, or like so and so is getting all the overtime hours because they're friends with the supervisor, and no, let's focus on actual accountability versus no-show overtime hours or no-show jobs and so on and so forth.
Another thing was the tenure and the pay scale. That's what drove me crazy too, because it's like, okay, in the next 5 years you're gonna make X amount of dollars. I was like, oh, that fucking cap would kill me mentally. I'm like, anything, life is unlimited. I was like, I want to make more money, and then you get teachers after 3 years in one day put their feet up because their friend's a principal or someone's a principal. I'm like, and they're doing nothing. You know what I mean? So I'm like, it was just disgusting.
I remember when we brought in a new superintendent, and when we brought in the new superintendent, he's like, hey, I want to bring teachers and some administrators up on tenure charges. Is it okay? And I gotta say, a lot of the people were connected, right?
Yeah, of course.
Across the board.
Yeah.
If they deserve it, give it to them.
Yeah, good.
Like, no, I remember one time, and I'll give this story. We had a janitor.
Mm-hmm. Oh boy, making $300,000 a year.
we had a
cleaning up, all right.
Yeah. We had a janitor that basically didn't want to work. He even got caught in one of the schools. And we would rent schools from the church, right?
Yeah.
And so in one of these rented facilities, he got caught like urinating, right?
Oh my gosh.
On a tree outdoors, right? Jesus. Now, even think about it in this climate. There's kids around, so on and so forth. But regardless of the case, like this person thought he could get away with anything because he was connected to us, right? Our sort of, the elected body, right? And so we were like, no, we held them accountable.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? And did that end up us, creating a political enemy at that point? Of course. But you know what? Sometimes you have to just say no, because your actions are also a reflection on us.
Of course, yeah.
And we have to hold you accountable. Otherwise, how are we different than the previous leadership, right? And so, and that happens all the time at a micro level. And so,
imagine at the DC level. You know what
exactly.
I mean?
Oh God.
The corruption there.
What year were you on the council?
So up until, I think it's been on a year and a half, I've been off the council. So what ended up happening is we actually had a councilwoman, she passed away. And she was actually a very close friend of mine. Her and I worked closely together. She was on the Board of Ed. She then went on to the city council, but she actually worked in the school district. She passed away in her sleep, unfortunately. And so I was appointed or rather selected by the city council, nominated by the city council, and then a few months later I ran for re-election technically, and I was able to win a 4-year term. I did not close out that 4-year term, and part of it is real estate title. I let the leadership know that it's a
You
new
took the Arnold Schwarzenegger route.
It's what it is. It's like for those of you, we were basically a startup in New Jersey, and I was sort of one of the point people to start out in helping to build out the New Jersey sort of infrastructure. And so I let the leadership know that, look, well, it was multiple things that were going on. There was a lot of politics. I think Board of Ed, I was able to kind of get everyone to buy in. On city council is just a lot more politics.
Yeah.
You're a lot more limited in your role, what you can say, what you can do. And for me, I didn't want to, to me, the ROI wasn't there in terms of being able to make the change that I wanted to make. And at that point, once you sort of are aggressive about trying to make changes and you're stunted from being able to make those changes, it's just like, okay, you want your ROI to mean something.
You want to see the change. You're putting the time, you're putting the effort in, and you're doing that. It's like, I want to see good come out of my work, and then just roadblocked. So it's just ridiculous.
And so at that point, I was just like, and then also, I have kids, and I have 2 young daughters, and I was just like, wait, I'm spending time away from my kids. I'm spending time away from my business for
volunteer work.
For basically volunteer work. And I so I let the leadership know, look, I'm gonna do what I can, but I can't commit what I was committing. And so I kind of had to take a step back, and I'm thinking this, like, why didn't I do it sooner? Like, I should not have gone to the council level, but it was definitely a great learning experience. I learned a lot. I got to see something from an insider perspective that many people never get to see. There's so many amazing people in the city of Passaic, in the state of New Jersey, that I was able to engage, interact with, and learn from, and consider friends and mentors. But thank God I'm outside of politics. Like, it was just not somewhere I wanted to be.
To me, it's like, you get into politics, and then you get all these roadblocks, and it just, to me, it would be so frustrating. I'd be like, dude, you got to be out of your mind. Like, 5 years of teaching was like ridiculous.
It's like,
So it's like
a 15-year marriage.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, really? I had enough of this. But unfortunately, in the state of New Jersey, and I'm pretty sure it's across the country, and then at the federal level, it's just, like you said, no one's held accountable. And then what happens? It all falls down back to the people, the students, and they're the ones that are losing it in the long run. So it just sucks.
And sometimes, like, I'll give one example, and I have to be very vague, right? And I got to be vague because
sure.
You understand the realities of politics, right?
Yeah.
Like, I remember they had this one great idea, and I was just like, it was such a great idea. It was a win-win for everybody.
Good luck.
And it got shot down, and the reason it got shot down is like, well, it was your idea and not mine.
Exactly. Yeah.
Wow.
And it's just like, so we're going to make our citizens and residents suffer, or not suffer, but, not be able to, just because potentially I might get credit for it.
Yeah.
And it's just like, to me, it's like, all right, you take credit, right?
Exactly.
And, to me, it's like things like this, there was just oddly, like, just beyond frustrating, especially when, here's the thing. I think part of it is, especially inner city politics, look, a lot of us are extremely successful, right? I think in our personal lives and our business lives, like what we're doing, we're extremely successful. And sometimes, in politics, the epitome of success is political success in a lot of inner city neighborhoods. And that, so it's like people are fighting over fiefdoms.
Yeah.
And that's something I didn't want to do.
Yeah.
You know, it's just like, no, if you really wanted that bad, please take it.
Yeah,
because,
exactly.
you know, it's not worth my integrity.
Yeah, like the anxiety of that would drive me crazy. I'm like, we got a great idea, help everybody, and you're telling me no. You're like,
You want to see how
to
real?
me, it's like you're dealing with sociopaths, basically.
You want to see how real inner city politics works? Go watch the season 3 and season 4 of The Wire, and you'll see how real inner city politics works.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
I don't know. How
I haven't
people
watched
do it.
that at all.
I'd be popping Xanax every fucking day.
People do say I haven't seen it, but everyone says that it's probably the best sitcom ever
So the
made.
creator was a news reporter in Baltimore. So he's not getting it from second hand.
Yeah.
He was there. He was reporting on these corrupt mayors and corrupt
yeah.
police officers. So he saw it firsthand. That's why the show was so. It took off and it was so well written.
That's why there's like those inner city areas like Newark, you know, and these guys run for mayors or whatever. And then how many people in Newark or these other inner cities actually vote? 300? It's like you got 50,000 residents, 200,000 residents, maybe 1,000 of them are going to come out and vote. You know what I mean? So it's just that's why it's so much easier to win in those areas.
If you actually want to see something really, I made a post about this.
Mayors that live in Allendale, New Jersey, running in Newark. Oh, shocker! You won, huh?
You want to see something really funny, and I just posted about it on Instagram. There's a PBS special that I think it was recorded pre-COVID about the Newark Police Department.
Okay.
I think it's like 2017, 2018. If you look it up, it's on PBS.
Okay.
Just put Newark Police Department PBS. It's
not cops.
It's not a documentary. You know, I'm not trying to bash anyone.
Yeah.
It's not a documentary. It's a comedy show.
Oh, really?
It's a comedy show.
Oh, man.
From the way the 911 operators will run, the way the police were just running on innocent people, just putting their hands against the wall, and it's crazy. I suggest if you want to watch something, it's not funny. It wasn't recorded to be funny, but it's sad.
Yeah. Well, if I'm a cop in Newark, everyone's putting their hands up against the wall. I'm here to collect my rent. Put your hands up against the wall, motherfucker. Where's your rent? Right pocket or left pocket? All right, give me that shit. All right, get the fuck out of here. Get back to your kitchen and leave me alone.
It literally is that's why it's Gotham City. That's why they filmed Batman here.
But I mean, you hit the nail on the head in terms of, are we a truly representative democracy, right?
No.
Like, city of Passaic, I could give you the numbers. We have over 100,000 residents, right?
Wow.
And
That's a lot.
Easily over 100,000.
Oh, they long.
Majority, not majority, but a good amount are undocumented, right? So obviously ineligible to vote. On our registered voter rolls, we have maybe 30,000 registered voters. Now, 30,000, let's just say the voter rolls are not updated. You're talking about, let's say, 25,000.
Yeah.
In a municipal election, like when I ran, I think I won. I mean, to win, we needed 1,000. Yeah. I would get 1,500 to 1,900 votes, right? But that's all you need.
Yeah.
In a city of over 100,000 people,
exactly.
right?
Yeah.
To win a Board of Education election. Now, to win a city council election, you need about 3,000 to 3,500 votes, right?
100,000. That's crazy.
Which is 10%
That's
of
3%,
the registered
really?
voters,
registered,
right?
yeah.
Out of registered voters.
Yeah.
And so you think about the small numbers, right?
Yeah.
And who goes out to vote and what interests they have, right?
Exactly.
And what it entails, right? And so that's why you have inner cities that take decades to kind of shift and transition, right?
It's the mindset of the people because they don't think that their vote counts locally.
Yeah.
No, your vote doesn't count for national election.
Yeah.
But your vote counts 1,000 more. It's 1,000 more important for you to vote locally than it is for you to do a national election.
Well,
that's my take.
Well, I'm going to take it. I'm going to be a little bit more extreme. Now, obviously, I want it to be contextualized. I think every vote matters. Right? Your vote matters. It does. But it matters when I vote with you, and I vote with you, and I vote with Joey, right?
Yeah.
When we come together and say, listen,
Yeah, of course.
we need to make wholesale change, and we are able to get people to buy into a vision, right?
Yeah.
That's when you have the ability to really say, okay, we need our voices heard. This is what's important to us. Like right now, I see even in real estate, right? You see landlords just getting railroaded in a lot
Section
of ways.
ain't never late, man. I don't know.
From
I did good.
from a policy perspective, right? Landlords in the mainstream media are demonized,
Yeah,
right?
of course.
You want to landlords are the bad guy. They're the
Bad guy
villain
right
in
there.
the story,
Yeah.
right? And you're the landlord.
I
right?
wear
Yeah.
shirts that say I'm a slumlord.
But part of it is, okay, well, what can landlords do to create
course.
better policy outcomes, right?
Yeah.
And how do they, create that type of change? And so those are conversations that need to be had.
Landlords are more face to face, right? So when you go to Chipotle, right, and the French fries are super cold.
There's no French fries at Chipotle. What the fuck?
That's how much I go to Chipotle. That's the first thing. Right, but let me get my point across.
You've never gone? I've gone no.
French fries at Chipotle. Like, what are you talking about?
They have French
How
fries.
Mexican are you, bro?
I'm not Mexican. But they have French waffle fries. The waffle fries, right? No
Do
one
they have
complains.
waffle fries?
They got
No.
no waffle fries
No.
at
That's their
Chipotle.
special. Oh, Chipotle. What an idiot.
You mean Chick-fil-A?
Chick-fil-A.
Yeah, I knew you saw that
Chick-fil-A. I just put it in the air. They're gonna start Mexican French fries next week.
We'll
Seasoned
cut
Mexican
this
French fries.
part out of the podcast.
Hell no, that should be the opening of heart.
Chick-fil-A. So no one complains, right? And no, they were cold. They don't understand. It's being a landlord is the same. You're running a business.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
But because it's so face to face, it's just the guy that collects my rent, and I know he's making all this money off of me, and I can't afford to buy a house myself, and it's unfair.
Yeah.
It's a business.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, exactly. Well, like I became a landowner because when I was a school teacher in Jersey City, and I dropped one of my kids off after a basketball game. Good kid, good family, and the house looked like it was needed to be bulldozed. He's like, "Oh, my landlord don't fix nothing," and I'm like, "You know what?" And then I kept seeing that from other students and stuff like that. I was like, "You know what? I got to provide some quality housing someday." So I was like, "You know what?" I started buying into Jersey City, and
That was literally your motivation?
that was really the
Wow,
motivation.
that's
Yeah.
amazing.
My dad had some rental properties, but at the end of the day, I was like, you know what? Let me buy in these areas and provide some quality housing. And like, great, those slumlords will lose their tenants. I'm gaining the tenants.
Right.
You know what I mean? And at the same operation I do today, even with the properties I buy out of state. It's like, listen, I take over a property. My job is to provide quality housing for you. Your kids shouldn't come home to no hot water. Your kids shouldn't come to the roof, roof leaking on their head. They should be come home, have lights, do their homework, and do what they got to do. And that's how I operate my business today.
Same with retail. When you walk into a store, you
Yeah.
appreciate when someone acknowledges you and they say hi, or they ask you, how can I help you? They went to the back to try to find something for you. It's the same.
Yeah, exactly. It's like when you go to a restaurant. If you got a clean bathroom, guess what? Everything else is going to be clean.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? If you go there, it's a disaster. Guess what's going to So it's the same. It's a business, and that's how you operate. You're a people business. I'm in the hospitality business.
Absolutely.
If it's tenants or Airbnbs, whatever the case may be, it's a
I love
hospitality
that.
business.
You want Holiday Inn, you go to Holiday Inn. You want
Yeah.
the Marriott, you go to the Marriott.
Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean?
You want the Marriott with Section 8, you go see Carmelo.
It's funny because we took over the property in Illinois, right? So we're billing back the water to the tenants. It's like $25 a month. I was like, listen, we make huge improvements. We spent over $1 million in capex on this property, and we get a lot of resistance from the tenants. Oh, why we got to pay the water? We got to pay the water. I was like, listen, you don't have to pay the water. All right, I was like, here's a link with the police blotter where all the shootings are. You can move to the other side of town if you like. I have no problem with it. You don't have to stay here with me. Of course, then everyone's like, I'm going to stay here. I'll pay the extra $25 a month. You know what I mean?
Why are we hearing police sirens?
The mics.
Oh.
The mics, they pick up
Okay.
the back doors open.
Got it.
Oh,
That's
okay.
okay.
Yeah, so at
Someone
the end of
started
day,
the
that's-
wire or something.
and they're gonna have and I like Section 8 again because what happens? Accountability, right? As a landlord, I got to provide quality housing because if not, I'm not gonna get paid. And the tenants, they got to pay their portion because then they're gonna lose their voucher. Again, it boils down to accountability. So if you use the system the correct way, it's fantastic.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah.
But-
So I want to ask Salim, how did you get involved with New World? Like, how did that process go?
we left the old world.
The bad world.
Got it.
And I'm a lender, so I got a lot of questions.
So I think it was like one of the owners. His name is Rudy Hernandez. Shout out to Rudy. Good, amazing guy, right? He caught me on the right day at the right time. I was in a previous title company, and so I'll backtrack a little.
Yeah.
I'm also an investor in real estate, and so I've been buying real estate for a number of years now. So, while I was working in finance one day, and again, whoever works in corporate 9 to 5, God bless you. If you could do the 9 to 5 and you can stick to that, right?
I also did that. I had a Series 6, 63. had an insurance
smart
license. So that was not fun. I didn't like it.
I was miserable every single day going into my 9 to 5. I was just miserable. I mean, I did it. I was good at it. I was able to really be efficient.
Did it pay well?
It paid really well. Yeah. It paid really well. I was comfortable, but I was just miserable going into the office every single day. I had at that point, I would drop off my older daughter to private school every day, and it would kill me not being able to pick her up, and things like that. And so I think I just got fed up one day. So the CFO, I kind of found out he was taking a full bonus every quarter and not sharing it with anybody on our depleted team. We went through layoffs, and instead of sharing it with the depleted team, he was keeping it all for himself. And I mentioned it. I was like, hey, what's this transaction that seems to have come into the account and left the account right away?
He's like, that's my vacation home.
And then when he tried to justify it, he's like, well, I stay late and I come in on weekends. And I was like, that's because you don't get your job done, right? It's not on me that you're just, running around and you don't know how to use, efficiencies. And I was like, just because I go on, I'm being punished for getting my work done.
Yeah, exactly.
Shouldn't you reward me for getting my work done? And once I realized, CEOs. All of corporate America, it's not about the investor.
It's a dream.
Right. It's not about the investor.
Yeah.
Like even the way they, most corporations, they'll do something called stock buybacks, right? To inflate your
that's basically what happened in the past few years, right?
Earnings per share, right? They do stock buybacks to increase their EPS, and then that way the board of that corporation gets to bonus, right? And the senior executives gets to bonus. So they'll do the stock buyback, not because it's the right thing for the investor, it's the right thing for their pocketbook.
Exactly.
And once you realize the whole scam, and I was just like, look, I'm just tired of it. We wasted $1 billion in stock buybacks, so on and so forth. I was just like, you know what? Yeah. I'm not for this. I can't stomach it. And I walked into the CFO's office and I was like, I quit.
Yeah. So this is a Fortune 500 company.
Yeah. So I quit. And he's like, oh, where you got another job? Nope, quit.
So you went from one crooked field to the other.
Yeah.
Very good.
Well, no. So, and I basically took a sabbatical. I run in Passaic. I started a food pantry maybe 15 years ago. Awesome. And I basically, what I did is I went to this food pantry every single day as a volunteer. And I built up the donor base. I would just call donors, be like, hey, would you like to be a monthly donor? Would you like to come volunteer? And I did that, I think, for a year. So one of the volunteers was, you might know him, is Gus Hussein. I don't know if you know Modern Realty Group.
Yeah.
So Gus would come in with his agents and volunteer at the food pantry and pack up food, distribute it.
Yeah.
So Gus came in, and one day I'm just hanging out with Gus at his gas station, right? He called it the hot spot. And a title rep comes in, and he's just like, I don't know, something happened, and he's like, yo, I'm not giving you title anymore. Give it to Salim. Salim, get licensed, right? I was like, all right. I ended up getting licensed, right? I got licensed. I joined that title company, and I was there for a little bit, and I kind of just faded out. Like things happened. Gus. Not with Gus, but with the title company things. And I just kind of transitioned out of the business. And then someone else I met called me up, said, hey, join my company. I'll help you out, give you some house accounts. So I went to that title company. And at that title company, and I'll say this title company's name, Atlantic Title. And so I'm with Atlantic Title out in Fairfield. And, super nice operations manager. Her and I think she's absolutely amazing person. I went after an account, and this is when COVID was there and we had the refi boom, and I went after a client, and she said, no, don't bother going after their client. You'll never land them. I went after the client. I had a connection through the nonprofit, right? I knew the person's brother, and he made the introduction. They ended up doing $1.2 billion in business that year. Wow. In refis mostly. And I was getting majority of their...
That's awesome.
So, obviously now I think I'm at this point 40% of the total company's business. My expense account was $750. I'm out to lunch with
What?
$750 my expense account, right?
Jeez.
And I'm new to the business. I don't know anything about title at this point, right?
Yeah.
Now I feel like I got a PhD.
I thought you were filling your pool with $100 bills and shit and swimming.
So $750, right? So the corporate account got declined, and I'm at Cedars in Wallington. If anyone knows that, right?
I know Rudy, the owner.
Huh?
I know the owner.
Yeah, okay, and Michelle, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm sitting there, and the credit card gets declined. I called him up. He's like, oh, he ended up telling me, he's like, well, I'm not gonna. He didn't. He's like, I'm not gonna increase it. I was like, wait, what? And then the next day he calls me and he's just like, yeah, you're gonna have to justify every expense for the last 4 months, and to blah 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 to get it up to 1,000. Now, mind you, I didn't realize that based on the production I was doing, I should have been at at least at $5,000 to $6,000 a month, right, in an expense account. And again, this is just me. I'm not invested into the business, right?
CEOs.
Exactly.
Hence Newbie.
And so I just said, look, I brought in settlement fees alone, it was $200,000 or something like that that I brought in. It just goes straight into his pocketbook.
Wow.
I was like, you're nickel and diming me for $250 a month? That evening, I'm going into a client dinner, which I was going to have to pay out of my pocket. Rudy calls me and says, hey, I'd like to fly you down to Florida. You could stay at the one hotel, South Beach, in a suite, and bring your family. I'll fly your family down, whatever you want.
He's like, presidential suite? Perfect. I'll be right down.
I looked up the room. It was like $1,200 a night, right? And he put me there for like 4 nights, and then obviously they wined and dined and give me the whole spiel. And I didn't say yes, right? I was just like, I'm a loyal guy.
Yep.
But then I realized I was just like,
they're not loyal to you. Fuck them.
Exactly. So once I gave my offer and I presented my offer to over there to Atlantic, they said, we'll match it.
Oh, that's awesome.
And I said, oh, it took this to match, but when I even asked for $250, so all of a sudden I was asking for too much, like, I'm out.
Yeah, I saw actually that article the other day. It's about loyal employees. They actually make 50% less than everybody else. You know what I mean? Because the employers are like, oh, they're going to stick around. Don't worry about it. And they'll give you the minimum, less amount. But
they're a slave to the job.
Exactly. That's awesome. That's good. And that's how you got there.
And so and the rest is history, I think, And everyone kind of criticized me in that decision initially. They were like, it's a brand new company and this and that. And even today, even to this day. Now, mind you, I was talking to another title company owner, and they actually gave me this fact, so I can't fact check it. I wish I could. But they said in New Jersey, the average title company owner is 56-year-old white male, right? 56-year-old white male is...
Listen, man, average. I'm almost there, so.
you want to start a title company? I got you.
I'm starting retirement.
So now you have a Latino-owned company, right? That's coming onto the scene and obviously making a splash. Yeah. And I remember we got ridiculed when we did the billboards. I had title company people, real estate people come and laugh, why are you guys doing billboards? You're B2B. No one even knows what title is. Guess what? It worked.
Yeah, exactly.
It worked. It made us the conversation piece in terms of recruiting clients, recruiting sales agents, so on and so forth. And even to this day, I remember we had someone, there's gossip. Oh, New World, they launder money. And I'm thinking to myself, if the goal was to launder money, a title company is the stupidest business anyone could start to launder money, right?
Every dollar's tracked.
Every single dollar's tracked. So, why would anyone possibly do that? So, but part of it is that people don't know how to react to how aggressive we are in terms of the marketing of the real estate space of title, right? Yeah. And so they have to create these conversation pieces just because they don't know what to do, because they don't know what's happening, why their business is coming to us, right? And so not to say we're the greatest, not to say that we're better than, and we're not. We're just doing what we think we should be doing to get business into our market.
Yeah, when you take their market share, there's going to be criticism and all that nonsense, like Foxton's back in the day. I think they had a great model, just not operated properly, I don't think you guys are too young for Foxton's, right?
Never heard of
Jersey thing, I think. So besides throwing lavish parties, what exactly does New World Title? What does a title company do?
I think exactly.
Expense account.
Well, no, and people talk about that.
Word around town is that ruckus in Atlantic City a couple of years ago was because of New World Title.
No, not at all. Nothing. From my mistake, what company are you with?
It wasn't my company.
Okay. Are you sure about
I wasn't
that?
there.
Okay.
I wasn't there, but it wasn't my company. No,
Okay.
it wasn't.
No, and I think people let's talk about that, right? Because 6 months into us being open, it was
How old
nice.
is your company now?
I think we're going into
years, right?
end of 3 years now.
years,
So yeah.
Oh, that's it.
Wow.
I could swear you guys have been longer. So is that just in New Jersey, or is that
No, it's
like
2008 in Florida.
Oh,
South
in Florida. Okay, so
yeah.
New Jersey, you've only been around 2
It's a
years.
franchise, right? It's a
No,
franchise type
it's
model?
not a franchise.
Okay.
No?
No, it's not a franchise.
So I can't just open up my own branch of New World Title in Ohio if I want.
No, but we do have joint ventures with major branches. So, like for example, we have joint ventures with Keller Williams. I believe there's one with Caldwell Banker office, and then we have different joint ventures. So I think altogether there's about 14 joint ventures, 12 in Jersey, and I believe there's 2 up here.
Okay.
So we do like to work with joint ventures. It means we're making a lot less money, but at the end of the day, if
Plenty
there's
of profit in there.
there's a business opportunity for you to share in a legal way,
Exactly.
versus how everyone tries to get
Kickback and
kickbacks
stuff.
and
Yeah,
put
exactly.
get money in their pocket, right? And New Jersey, oh my God, remember
I just
starting
renewed my
Title.
license. Don't use that kickback word around me.
Well, no, but that's the thing. It's just like we have
the politicians.
I remember. I'll never forget this one meeting I had. Major producer, and we sit down. It was Rudy and myself. We sit down with this. I'm talking about major hitter, and he's like, "Well, my title company puts $10,000 a month in my pocket, directly into my bank account."
Blatantly said it that way?
Just like we met the guy. We just met the guy.
Can you repeat that, please?
We don't know him from like.
It's probably a Jersey mayor.
Oh, that.
What's a marketing fee?
What's his name? Bob Melendez?
Wow. So, and that's actually the reason I'm extremely careful. Just having that.
You have to be, yeah.
Like I'm going into conversations. I don't know who's listening to what. I'm from
Exactly.
Passaic, where the last 3 out of the 4 mayors went to jail. I'm an elected official, and you want to come at me saying I need 10,000? Like,
Yeah, time to go.
no. I was like, it's not the conversation I want to have. I remember Rudy and I looked at each other. We texting each other, "Yo, let's just go," right?
Yeah,
like,
seriously.
like it's not worth, right? But what we always do is like, let's reorient the conversation. Like, hey, you're doing this much business. Why don't you just own half of the business in a legal manner? And guess what? You'll make even more than 10,000.
That's too much work.
Right? It'll be legal, and you're gonna make more than that.
Exactly.
And then, oh wait, really?
Hold on a second, real.
Yeah. How come my title company never told me that? Because they've been milking you.
Yeah, exactly.
They've been taking advantage of you. And so for us, like, let's bring parity, right? Information is out there. Joey and I discussed that are out there. Whoever wants to find information out about how to make money in a legal way, there's so much information out there. It's just about discipline and execution. And so our conversations are around that. And so I remember 6 months in, we invited Tom Ferry. For those of you that are newbies listening to this, Tom Ferry is the #1 real estate coach in the world, right? Charges thousands of dollars for one-on-one coaching, group coaching, executive coaching. Any top producer that's a top producer, especially with a team, has done or is doing currently Tom Ferry coaching. So
I did his years ago.
I had this idea. I was like, yo, I want to do a real estate seminar. Let's try to bring Tom Ferry. We were able to bring Tom Ferry. My condition for coordinating this thing was we got to do it in Passaic, New Jersey.
Okay.
I already knew the venue. So for those of you that ever been to Passaic, Factory 220, beautiful venue, gorgeous venue. It's basically a factory.
It's nice. I've been there.
Oh, yeah?
It's pretty cool.
It's on 220 Passaic Avenue, I believe. That's the address. And that's why it's Factory 220. Could fit over 1,000 people in
Really?
it, right?
Wow.
And it's just
Whoa.
the owner of the building is a furniture maker who has his furniture production on the first floor, and so his is on the second floor. And it's just custom furniture, wood floors, an old factory feel. Nice. We brought in Tom Ferry. For those of you that don't know Tom Ferry, just to show up is $35,000, right? And then he has a specific microphone. If you don't have, he won't come on stage. He has a specific bottle of water that someone had to drive an hour to go get.
My God.
If he didn't have that water, he wouldn't come on stage. Just to give you an idea of who Tom Ferry is, right? And his demands. And so we brought him. we provided breakfast, we provided lunch, and we charged $25. And we were able to bring 700 realtors into that room,
great.
right? And we were only, I think maybe 6 to 9 months old at that time. So a brand new title company bringing 700 realtors into a room.
That's awesome.
To me, I think is unprecedented. And in the city of Passaic. And I had top producers from Bergen County come up to me and say, you know, we talked to Tom and we didn't believe he was coming to Passaic. Like, why'd you do it in Passaic? And I was like, because I wanted people to see what's happening in Passaic and how beautiful of a city it actually is. And it shouldn't be about, you know, I'm tired of us saying we got to do these bougie conferences and keep it at the Hilton and
Hoboken,
like no, we have beauty everywhere in the state. And, you know, I'm proud to say that we brought it in. And people are like, hey, how did New World afford this, right?
Yeah.
And I said, because we're not taking money from our clients and only keeping it for ourselves and lining our pocket. Let's reinvest it back into the real estate industry. Let's talk about education. Let's talk about empowering our agents, our lenders.
Exactly.
You know, our
Money makes money,
professionals.
that's what I say.
Exactly. And so we reinvested it, right? And when you reinvest it, it pays dividends. And so everyone's like, well, how come other title companies didn't do it? Because it was like they were happy getting that money for free without competition. There was no competition. Now that there's competition, you're seeing them spend money. You're seeing them do a lot more than they ever did before. Why? Because now the landscape has changed, and then they realize that for them to be able to compete in this marketplace, they have to bring value. They can't just take their clients for granted.
Yeah, exactly. No, that's right. That's the way I always say. Money makes money. So you invest $35,000, you have 700 people at $25, made your money back in a heartbeat. You know what I mean? And on top of that, you probably got an extra 10, 15 deals out of it. Even if you got that much out of it, it's worth it. You know, so people don't realize that, unfortunately. You know, I always say business with no sign is a sign of no business. You know?
For anyone that's trying to get into, that wants to be a lender, you literally, it tells you like from day one, when you get into the industry, you have to reinvest about 30% of your profit back into your business.
Yeah. $35,000, that's not bad at all. Shit, I thought it'd be a lot more than that.
Well, no,
35%,
that was just for his
35%.
speaker.
Yeah, yeah.
Remember,
Oh,
we had the venue, we had what do you call it, the sound.
Yeah.
You know, so that budget was a six-figure budget.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was a significant budget.
Yeah, yeah.
That was just for securing him.
Okay,
But the
cool.
room setup, the food,
Yeah.
I think the food alone wouldn't cover 25 a head.
Yeah,
You know,
that's
so
true.
we, you know, it was definitely a significant loss, but
Yeah.
you know, for us, it's like, hey, and we continue. So now we do, actually, it's the Tom Ferry conference is coming back up. I don't have the exact dates, but what we did is the next year we did it in Florida.
Okay.
And this year we're bringing it back
Nice.
to, it's in New York actually this year.
Okay.
So we're doing it in New York. So for us, now we have an annual, basically, a seminar with Tom Ferry.
Nice. That's
I
awesome.
like the Family Feud thing you did in Elizabeth. I was there for that.
Yeah. Okay.
Were you there for that?
Yeah, I was there for that. Yeah. That was that. It was
I never
fun.
see these events anywhere. How come I miss all these fucking parties? And
Right. Where's my invite?
Nobody sends me anything.
Where's my invite?
I just saw, I don't know where how it came up on my phone. You guys are doing a Halloween party down in Miami.
So that's also an annual thing. I've never been, but that apparently that's an
I know a
annual
free Airbnb over
right.
downtown Miami.
Your favorite word, free.
thing. So,
I'll be staying in my.
You're the person I'm talking about.
I know.
okay. So we right?
It's a we.
You could take the other side of the apartment. I'll stay on my side. Yeah. That's good, man. Yeah, that's congratulations on building that team up, and that's awesome, man. Yeah, I know New World came out a few years ago, and I was like, they've been really, they've been a big hit on the realtor market. I got my license, I got my brokerage and stuff, but I don't really do too much business. So to me, it's more like just finding my own deals and stuff for the most part.
What sort of license do you need to be to work with as a title agent?
It's a title producer's license. So you just got to do your hours, just like anyone that goes to real estate, like what is it, American School of Business or something like
Mine
that.
is I'm completely different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And so you just do your hours and then sit for the test.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
That's not bad. Definitely a good business to get into. I know Weichert had a good model, brokerage, mortgage, white title. They did, but now it's more of a lead generation company for them. So cool beans, man. Cool beans.
Yeah.
So what's your next step?
Retire?
Retire. You're still young, man. How old are you?
I'm 45 now.
Okay, you're my
Wow.
age. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
just turned 45.
Look good.
So,
Yeah. I'll be 46 in November. Fuck, man. Sucks. Oh, well. What are you going to do?
So
Am I the old man here?
Yeah, motherfucker.
Christ.
Yeah.
So one of my the scholarship interview, one of the questions that I remember, it was my guidance counselor. It was his guidance counselor by the name of Mr. Gilbert. And one of the questions he asked is, where do you see yourself when you're 40 years old? I think it was 40. And I said to him, retired.
Yeah, 41 and done. That's what I said.
Right. I told him retired, and he looked at me. I remember he's over 40 at this point, right? So he's like, this,
good luck,
you know,
kid.
I could just imagine this. He's like, this balls on this whatever fucking little kid wanting to retire, right? And I just said, and my answer was like, you know, I've seen my father work, not one job. Like, you know, my father worked a pension job, you know, in New York City. He would leave 6 a.m, come home at 5, and then we had a business, and he would work in that business till 10 p.m. So he would just eat a little at home and leave. And this was all to provide for us. And so for me, I was just like, look, I want to be able to spend more time with my family, with my kids. And I wanted to be able to live life on my terms in a lot of ways. And so that inspired that answer. And that was the scholarship I ended up getting. And so I'm like 5 years off my mark already.
So well, actually, you bring up a good point, because I talk about this a lot with my wife, and it's like, okay, you know, I watch my parents' first, you know, generation, and watch them grind, right? And that's how I learned how to grind, because I learned that work ethic. But now my kids get driven around in Bentleys and Ferraris and Lamborghinis, and they're like, what do I do? You know, I mean, how you know, to me, it's
how do you motivate them?
How do we motivate them, right? Because it's like, oh, I want this, okay. You know, summers in Italy, Miami, and they're like, you know, they don't see the grind, right? My oldest daughter, she's 27, so she sees the grind. She saw
put
the
them
grind.
to work, bro.
Yeah, so I you know, I'll put them to work or whatever. But to me, it's like, now I got to change their mindset, right? Because I'm gonna leave them with money. I'm gonna leave them with real estate, and to me, it's like, I got to teach these kids how to invest. You know, my parents told me how to grind, and I got to teach these guys how to invest that money. Because if not, that shit's fucking gone. You know what I mean? You just kind of squander. So it's like, how do you see yourself? You know, I guess, as a father compared to your parents now?
I think we all have room for improvement. I wish I was a much better father. But you know, I agree. It's tough. It's tough. I remember, so one of the things that I try to just, I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing, but like my older daughter, I did it with her, and I told her, I was just like, you know, I'm not paying for college at all. Unless you go to Ivy, right? I was like, if you're not going to Ivy, you're on your own, right? And
True Patel.
Yeah, exactly. True Patel. Now here's the thing. I don't think college is the end all be all at all. I don't. Fundamentally and philosophically.
Not with the tuition nowadays.
No, not at all. Nor do I think Ivy is the end all be all as well, right? However, I kind of wanted it I wanted to trigger an emotional response from her, right? Like, you know, that things aren't going to be handed to you.
Yeah,
that
of course.
I need you to work. I need you to put your best foot forward. And so far, you know, I you know, as far as academically, like, thank God she's doing amazing. She's absolutely amazing. Awesome. But
how old are the kids?
So I have a 16-year-old and an 8-year-old.
Okay, so that's a big difference. Yeah, and I noticed even with the personality differences, you know, you got to raise them totally different too. It's like, you know, you have one personality type. Like my daughter's like me. She's grinding, hustling. She wants to learn Japanese. She signed up to learn Japanese. Awesome. She wants to learn how to edit videos. She programs to learn how to edit videos. Like me when I was a kid.
Well, we need somebody.
Yeah, you know, you can hire her. So when I was like, my parents had no clue, and I had to create my own websites. I had to learn how to make my own websites and e-commerce businesses back in the day and stuff like that. And then, you know, you have my son, my oldest daughter. You know, she's like, if you don't push her, nothing's gonna happen, you know. And then you have my son, who's still learning his personality type. But you know, it's crazy because as a parent, you gotta cater to each individually and how to raise them totally, you know, different, I guess, you know. So
yeah,
just something.
I'm just trying to figure out how to keep them from fighting. That's all.
Like Chris Rock said, keep them off the pole.
Yeah.
Well, guys, this was really, really fun. How can the audience get in touch with you if they need title or just advice or whatever?
So yeah, I'm an open book, and this goes with investors. It even goes with people in the title industry. I'm someone that I don't feel threatened by anyone in the title. If you know, I always say, if you have questions, just reach out to me. My Instagram, I don't know if you could post it or.
Yeah, we can post it.
So yeah, you can just post my Instagram, Salim Y Patel. It's very simple. You reach out to me on Instagram, or my email is spatel@newworldtitle, NUWRLD title.com. Reach out. Any questions? I'm an open book.
How much can a title agent make? Let's say
I would say majority of title maker
with.
A majority of title agents probably make no money at all. Like I would say most come in and leave the business. Majority, I would say 90%.
Is it mostly commission?
Yeah. So, and here's the thing: if you want to succeed and you actually want to grind it out, come in as commission only. Because if you're salaried and you don't make the cut, you don't get enough business in, you're gonna get cut anyway.
Yeah.
Because no one wants to carry dead weight, and it takes a while. And I'll tell you, this is with every entrepreneur.
Sure.
Everyone thinks, oh, I got friends and family, or my brothers, this, my sister. The last person to help you is going to be your friends and family. They're going to wait till they see you succeed, and then they're going to jump on board. They're not going to be the first mover. The first mover, right?
Yep.
You ever see that bell curve, right? The early adopters, right? In technology, it's the same exact thing, right? There's going to be the people that once you're at the top of that curve, then they're going to jump on, right?
Yeah.
And so
I learned that the same way.
Christopher Columbus had to go all the way to Spain to get someone to believe in him.
I gotta say, I would say I get at least once a day someone reach out to me, either a realtor, a lender, a notary, someone saying, hey, I want to become a title agent. Can I become a title rep?
Yeah.
And I would never, so it depends on our relationship, right? So for example, if Joey came to me and said, I want to become a title rep, I'd be like, no. You're doing something wrong in your current business, right? so like I had a realtor, he was doing about $4 to $5 million in business. He came out to me, he's like, oh, I just got my notary. And he said notary. And he's like, can I be a notary for New World? I said, no. And he's like, but I got extra time. And I was like, that's the problem.
Yeah, exactly.
I was like, why do you have extra time?
Yeah.
You either don't have the right broker, the right team leader, or the right coaching, right? And then 3 weeks later, he calls me up. He's like, I thought about it. You're right. He's like, I took on a coach and I switched brokerages and I have a team leader. And I realized I wasn't filling my time in the correct way, right?
Yep. That's huge business.
And a lot of times people don't want to have those hard conversations. I don't care if you're my friend or not.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I feel like I should give you the right, appropriate advice. Would I make more money having you as a title rep?
Of course.
Yeah, I might.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm doing you a disservice, and I'd rather not do you a disservice and rather let you hear the medicine that's actually going to help you. And so, with your question, I don't think it's if you're going to make money, you actually have to grind, work, and it's going to take a long time for you to build up your book of business. It's not going to happen overnight. I was blessed by God, right? Like, it just happened. Everything happened. I'm not saying it's with anything that I did. I'm going to attribute everything 100% to God, right? Like, there was nothing that I did. But a lot of times, those fortunate things won't happen to everyone in their lifetime. And so I think, with title, it's going to take a few years for you to kind of build up that Rolodex, build up that book of business, right? And that consistency, because every lender says the same thing on the refi side. Well, I got to spread it around. Well, and then lenders get introduced by seasoned title reps to different realtors, and no, that realtor came with this title guy. I can't, so you're limited in terms of what you can do. And realtors, the same exact thing, right? A lot of realtors go after the flashy thing that's in front of them at that moment, or whoever had the latest holiday party, right? There's no loyalty a lot of times in the real estate game. And so when you go through that ebb and flow, how are they going to pay their bills, right? And so I don't believe there's a lot of money. Can you make a ton of money? Of course you can make a ton of money. But I think it's with every other business that it's what you put into it. And then obviously the fortunate things that can kind of happen and go your way as you go through that grind.
It's the 1% that always come up top. That's it. You get up, grind, network, and all that stuff. I think you have a background from networking, from doing the charities and the finance world and stuff like that, and that's what you have to do. If you're gonna sit home and stare at the TV all day, well, good luck to you.
All right, awesome. So with that said, we're gonna end the show.
Cool beans.
Yeah. So Joe, what give the audience?
I'm Joe Falla. Joe does mortgages. If you're looking to run a scenario, see if you qualify for any sort of conventional FHA, USDA, VA loan. If you're an investor looking to get your first property, or you're a credit investor, I can help you out with those as well. It can be reached at 908-669-9091.
Cool.
Email.
Carmelo Oliveri, and I really, my main business is landlording. I'm a real estate investor, but I also do, I have a construction team, so we do 2 or 3K remodeling. So when our guys aren't too busy,
2 or 3K loans, I can do those. We can work together.
Yeah, exactly. So when my guys aren't too busy, I do some side jobs to keep them occupied.
Awesome. Yeah, and I'm Joey Chan. We are here at Kitchen Design Lab. We sell kitchen cabinets. We also own a construction team as well, and also a landlord and house flipper as well. So thanks so much, guys. Have a great week.
Peace.